Hey everyone, I am TheChosenOneLegend here, as always joined by my co-host.
Hi, I'm Kyle, also known as Fascurreyn.
And welcome back to the BunchaJokahs podcast, where we talk, well, usually we talk gaming news, but here we're doing a bit of a retrospective, the Switch 2's been officially announced, which means it is finally an end to the Switch's life cycle. Thank goodness, because mine is tied together by duct tape basically at this point. It's a launch day Switch and it's getting by barely, but we thought this would be a good time to take the opportunity to look back at our most played Switch games. The games that over the past, what is it now, 7-8 years, which is insane.
No, that's true.
Yep, don't like that, but
8 years almost.
yeah, that's where we're at, and we're gonna look by sort of using a combination of, of course, if you boot up your Switch, it shows you can sort the games by playtime. Some of this will be skewed by profiles and that, right, Kai? So there's some sort of approximation in there, right?
Yeah, obviously that counts all profiles, and whenever people play on your profile, such as completing full games, that will obviously add to that count.
Yeah.
Matt, you said you're using an external website to kind of help a little bit more.
Yeah. So I use a site called
yeah.
Exophase, which you can get, and you can tie it to your PlayStation account, your Nintendo Switch account, and it basically uses the top, your recent play history where it shows your time. It takes them from there and gives you an actual exact time, including minutes, which is nice. But even that, that takes it by one profile, and some games I've played twice across multiple profiles, so it's not a perfect system. But we're gonna roughly go through our top 10 most played games, as much as we can gather from the data we have.
Yeah, I do want to say, why is that not a feature of the Nintendo Switch Online app?
Yeah.
The Nintendo Switch Online app, I've got it open right now. It is used for barely anything, and it just feels like a really obvious thing to put on there. They have the data.
The 3DS Playtime app was so good. I know
it's perfect.
I'm a sucker for data. I would go through and filter by week and month and all that. And then the Wii U one was just made a little bit worse with just basic information. And then the Switch one was made a little bit worse again. So who knows? Hopefully the Switch 2 gives us a proper play tracking app. But
yeah.
Until then, fine, we'll do it ourselves.
Yeah.
And I guess, Kai, do you want to start things off then here?
Okay.
Do you want to give us your 10th most played game?
Well, I'll start with a little preface on this, and the first, I've got two of these to mention. The first one is I didn't get to see many of my play game times, obviously. One of them I did find is my number 19 game.
Oh yeah,
is 51 Clubhouse Games, which is basically half of that's Ludo. I've put probably 60 odd hours into Ludo.
Yes.
My total playtime on that is 100 hours exactly. So I sort of figured out from that, okay, there's 19 games I've played on the Switch where I've put in at least 100 hours.
Not
bad.
I
just thought that was a fun little thing. The other one I'll mention is technically number 5 on my list is Fortnite. But I'm not going to officially include that on here because, again, other people playing on the console, and I had a very bad habit with this game of leaving it on overnight. Every other game, even if I'm leaving the console for 5 minutes, I'll go on the home menu to not mess with the amount of game time played. I like that to be accurate. But I do want to mention that technically Fortnite is on there as number 5 when I used to play it and leave it on overnight, which is a lot of hours, but yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way. So properly, my number 10 game is Skyrim, which is an interesting one. Now, I had already played Skyrim before it came out on the Switch. I was always a bit of a fan. And when it came out, when it was shown off in the original Switch trailer of the guy playing it on the plane and actually swinging with the Joy-Cons and all of that, that's the point where I was sold on the Switch as a whole. That game, watching them play Skyrim was the turning point. I obviously picked it up when it came out on the Switch, and I have done every side quest in the game. I have not done the main story though.
Yeah.
I'm about halfway through the main story, but I've done everything else in the game, in true Skyrim player fashion. So yeah, that's my number 10 game. Again, I don't know the exact hours, but I would wager it's somewhere around I don't know, 200-ish, maybe a little bit more.
Oof.
But yeah, no, just a really good classic, lots of replayability, and that's even without mods. So yeah, good time, and it's a fun one to bring wherever you go on the Switch. So yeah, really good one.
That was like one of the best bits, of that initial Switch reveal, which was so great because that immediately sold it. Just playing Skyrim on the plane, right? So that was great.
Yeah.
I never really got far into it. I think mine's at like 35 hours on Switch.
Mm-hmm. That's still good.
But it's a fun game. Like, I enjoyed what I did get to play with it, and they're going to keep doing new releases of it forever. So it's that and GTA 5, right? So
yeah,
it's an evergreen game. But I guess for me, and I'll give this a preface, that I think my top 12 are all 100 hours. Over 100. I think that's where it'd fall for me. I'll quickly mention 12th is Xenoblade DE, which is just hefty game, and 11th would have been the Ace Attorney sequel trilogy, Apollo Justice ones, which again, because it's 3 games, all pretty decently length. But my actual number 10 for me is one I played last year, and that's Persona 5 Royal. And, I mean, hefty RPG. I think you're going to see that as a trend here, right? A couple big RPGs.
Yeah, one of the games that never ends.
Yeah. Especially because it's Royal, it's a new semester. It was just quite simple. It was one playthrough of the game. I did a lot of stuff, but I didn't do 100%. I didn't max out every confidant. I just played through the story, and it takes that long. But hey, I enjoyed it the entire time, so cannot complain. Glad I got to check that one out.
Yeah, I think because of the calendar system, it kind of does that. Where even if you're not going for all the side content, you have all that free time where you think, well, I could just ignore it, but I might as well go and do something. So even if you're not doing the longest time investment, no matter what, you're going to be spending a lot of time doing, a little bit of everything in this game.
Exactly. It's kind of, I probably spent as much time deciding who I want to spend time with as I did actually doing it. So that probably boosted the numbers as well. It's like, okay, where do I go today? The options. But again, that's part of the fun of Persona. It's the social aspect of it, free houses and that, which you may see later on this list. But that was a pretty solid time. Just a very long game inherently. What about you, Kai? What's number 9?
Number 9 for me is Rocket League.
Oh, of course.
Now, Rocket League is one I used to play a ton of this on the PlayStation, right, on the PS4. And so, I played that a lot. I think I must have been around 14 when I played it a lot. Sort of came and went, and then it was out on the Switch, and I think it was free by then. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll get it on the Switch, I guess. Try it out again. I think I'd just gotten my Pro controller around then as well. Because I hadn't been using one, I've been using Joy-Cons up to that point, and I was like, oh, this game feels pretty good with Pro controller. And then I just played a ton of it. Man, I just I played that game every day for a very, very long time. They have a tournament. I don't know if I assume it's still in the game. They have a tournament mode every 2 hours, which is just a really standard. It's a different game mode each time. Win 5 matches in a row to win sort of thing. And I just really enjoyed playing that sort of thing. It's a good one of switch your brain off and just focus in on something. Yeah. It's the only I guess we'll get to some others soon, but obviously we don't play a lot of those PC games that are you can play it for thousands of hours and keep going, it's a sort of a online multiplayer kind of thing. I'm thinking your Valorants and
I know what you mean.
The new Marvel one and all of that. We don't play many of those. This is probably the closest I have because it's an online service multiplayer thing. It's just fun, it's really fun to slowly get better at the game because it does feel rewarding, and then get really angry at teammates because they don't know how to play the game. So it's just a good time. I don't play it now, but I would always be up for going back to it if I had a reason to. Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, Kai. It did make my top 10. As in my top 10 least played games on my Nintendo Switch. It's my 9th least played game. It's somewhere in the number 100. I think I tried it on stream. I think we played it a few times years back.
Yeah, we did it once or twice.
Yeah, and I that's all I did. I got like one screenshot of me doing something, a clip of me doing something cool, but it was not a me game. But I can see why it's so beloved for it.
Yeah, it's good to just drastically sort of slowly get into it.
Yeah, and for my number 9, it's one that I haven't played properly in a good while, but I spent hours back in the day, and that was Super Mario Maker 2, where of course, I mean, part of it is inherently creating levels takes a long time, right?
Yeah.
But I only made like 2, so that didn't really boost things up too much for me. It was mostly, I went back and I would like, when I was bored, it's sort of the perfect game to just sort of pick up for like an hour and try some online levels. You know, I used to like looking for like the Kaizo style levels, the difficult ones where like bouncing from piece to piece. Had a lot of fun with those, you know, and we've done a bit of multiplayer, we've tried it. We did some community levels back in the day. But really, it's one of those that I can just go back to at any time and just dabble in a few levels. It's simple pick up and play. So, I mean, infinite content, right?
No, that's a good point.
Inherently.
Yeah, I'm also just reminded of you taking, like, any level that anyone you know has ever made, you have a world record on. That definitely came to mind. But yeah, no, it's a good time. It reminds me of the fact that we have technically an unreleased video on it.
Yeah, we do. We'll edit that out one day.
That's in the works.
From the IRL
we'll get that out at one point. But yeah, no, that's a good one. I've not got that on the list. I think I played a lot more of the first game because I really enjoyed the 100 Mario challenge.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they didn't bring that back. Huge missed opportunity to, like, not only bring that back, but also put in loads of more really fun modes to sort of go through a gauntlet of sorts. The new world thing they added late on was good, but I wish they did it a little bit sooner, I guess.
No, I agree.
It was a solid game.
It's good sequel, good fun, but not too much more than that. I guess for reference, I have got the times. Persona was at 133 hours, and Mario Maker 2 is at 141. And since they're each one profile, that should be accurate. So yeah, that's where we're looking so far.
Sweet. Yeah. That's good.
Number 8.
Number 8. For me, I don't know if you'll have this one or not. I have as number 8 Tears of the Kingdom. Legend of Zelda. That's one of the more recent ones for me, of course. Yeah, I've got that one. I don't have it written down, but I seem to remember finishing at about 260 hours. Purely because I 100%ed the game. Like, I got all of the Koroks, all of the location names, which took me a while, I'll tell you that. You know, all the side content. I did a lot of grinding to level things up. I don't think I upgraded every piece of equipment fully, but I tried getting every armor set leveled up twice, I believe, to get like the special effects. So you know, that was all good fun, and you know, obviously it's just a huge game with a lot of stuff to do. So you know, kind of explains why I took so long to play it. You know, I really just took my time exploring everything as well, like just going through it and seeing what new there is. So yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, more on this later is what I'll say.
Okay, fair.
Not far off very much so actually, but I mean it's an open world Zelda game. It's going to take up your time. Still a lot to do.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go for my number 8, which is at 164 hours, and that is actually accurate. That's Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Nice.
Now that's 2 playthroughs I did. I did Golden Deer and I've done Blue Lions. Still yet to do Eagles, so that's somewhere down the line. But yeah, again, Persona effect. Man, there's so much to do in the social aspect of this. Running around the monastery, spending time with your students, drinking tea, all the great stuff. And of course inherently, multiple playthroughs. You know, if it was just one playthrough, I think my first one was at like 75 hours or something, you know. But when you had a second playthrough and the DLC, which I did play as well, that boosted up. And that's the thing, like, if we did this in a year's time, I might have done my next playthrough by then. In which case, this could be at like, you know, number 4 in my list or something. I've still not done everything I want to do in this game. So, Really fun
I
time.
think they made a really good world with Three Houses.
They did,
I'm sure
yeah.
that's not a new conversation, but the multiple routes thing, no matter how you think that was handled, they did a very good job of making a very big involved world where it's not just it doesn't feel like it was just made for the story. It feels like it was made just to be its own world.
Exactly. I think that's the biggest selling point, and that's sort of it's partly why the people who love Three Houses and aren't as into Engage. It is because of that world building. It's that sort of element that Three Houses does really strong, even if later or even early games have a bit more complexities in the gameplay and that sort of element of it. In feeling like an immersive world you want to spend time in, Three Houses does that perfectly. So it's no wonder it's so high. And I'm actually going to break the order a bit here, Kai, and do my number 7. Because my number 7 is Tears of the Kingdom. So...
Alright, fair enough.
Literally, it's 1 hour more than Three Houses. So it's very close.
Oh, wow.
it could we were nearly at the same number there. But, yeah, I didn't do everything in Tears of the Kingdom. I beat the story, but I haven't done all the side quests. I haven't got all the Korok seeds. I haven't got all the armor sets. I got most of them, but I haven't upgraded it. I filled out the map and I did all the shrines, but that's and the under stuff as well, and that's basically it. The fact that alone got me to 165 hours and 40 minutes. I mean, yeah, it's a huge game. You take Breath of the Wild, you add another top half to it, and then another under half to it, and you basically times the map by 3. Yeah, it's a time sink, but it's a good one, so...
Yeah, it's a great time. I'm just glad there's no Koroks in the depths, let's put it that way.
Oh, yeah, oh jeez. Because you did everything, right? You did...
Everything.
Every single
all
thing.
The Koroks.
What do you think your
There's
time
more.
is? Roughly, do you think?
260, I think it was.
Oh, it was 260, you said. You're right, yeah. That was impressive.
Yeah, give or take, but I seem to remember that number sticking out in my head.
Right. But, yeah, Tears, classic. And what's your number 7 then, Kai? No, after I snuck in there.
Also, I will clarify on that. I did use a guide to get the Koroks post game. I didn't try and seek them all out. I'm not.
You're not
crazy.
insane.
No, yeah, I should make that clear. Right, okay. My number 7 is Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, Smash Bros. Ultimate. It is, obviously it's the big one. That's the big one that everyone gets hyped for and does. And I feel like 295 hours is a lot, but I feel like whenever I look at other people's game time, it feels like nothing. It's very so many people have Ultimate as over 500 hours at least. Some people upwards of 800 or over 1,000.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, that explains why my main strategy is spot dodge and side smash. It explains it. That's all I can really do. But obviously it was a great time. World of Light was a fun one. Again, nowhere near Subspace Emissary, but it does sort of help to add in the hours. And then I just spent a lot of time just playing it casually. I picked up Bowser as my main after a while. I did a bit of Marth before that. But it was just fun to sort of learn the characters and get into that, and the DLC every time would make me come back to it for a little bit more.
Yes.
So yeah, it was just, and it's just a good casual game as well to just play multiplayer. That's where a lot of the time came in. So yeah, just overall, yeah, obviously a really solid game.
Absolutely, it's one of those that it never really gets boring to just pick up and play. I tend to get a lot of games I can't do ongoing multiplayer, like we've mentioned before. I even things like Rocket League. There's a reason I can't get into that, because I get bored of doing the same thing again and again. Even though I get the appeal of it, it just never messes with me. Smash is an exception, and again, you will see more on that later. That will be featuring on my list somewhere.
Understood.
But
okay, I'll go straight to number 6 if you want.
No, do it. Go for it.
Because it fits. This is Three Houses for me now.
Oh,
just to get it out of the way.
We're close.
I don't have an amount of time on this. So, difference to you is I've played both Golden Deer and Blue Lion, same as you. Yeah. I've not done Ash and Wolves. I never picked up the DLC.
Oh, of course,
although I would like to. But I have played not Silver. Is it Silver Snow? Is that basically the church route?
Church route, yeah.
Where you play as the Black Eagles, and you don't. Well, we can spoil the game itself. The one where you don't side with Edelgard. I went that route. So, I've played that additionally. Obviously, it's known for being the worst route, and yeah, it's pretty bad. But I think I just played that like almost on a whim. Obviously, I mean, where do I start? My first playthrough, I remember playing it on holiday, and that was a really long playtime. My second playthrough, Blue Lions, I technically did as like my first ever stream ages ago, and then I just finished it in my own time.
Yeah, I remember
that run through took me, I think, longer than my original because I tried recruiting every single recruitable character, which I managed. So that already took a lot of time to get. And then I also I do this thing in games a lot. I've done it occasionally on stream, where sometimes at certain check marks in the game, I will basically like strip every character of all their abilities and equipment and all of that, and just restart all of their equipment from the ground up and sort it all in one big go, which can take hours. I did this too many times in my Blue Lions route. Like I just every like 2 chapters, or maybe even 1, if I'm being honest, I would just go through my like 30 odd characters and take away all of their stuff, and then sort of figure out who should have what again. Selling lots of things, then rebuying lots of things. I tried keeping every character evenly leveled. So I was going into a lot of things like at a disadvantage. I do that in every game. I've done that in every RPG I've ever played, except for Ni no Kuni 2.
Something like Xenoblade or whatever, where you got like 6 characters, but for 30 recruitable characters.
Yes.
But for me, I was like...
Yes, I did the same in Triangle Strategy.
No. For me, it was like just the main 10, and then there was like 1 or 2 rare missions where you need 12 people. It's like, okay, shove this underlevel person in the back. They can just hang. For me, that's how I did it.
Yeah. 3 Hopes is not on my list, but I did the same there, and it was tough.
Yeah.
I'll say that. It was consistently underleveled. And then, I think there was a point where I was like, I don't know what to do. I just didn't know what game to play. I was going to choose Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch, which isn't on my list, because I've only played it once on the Switch, because I've also got it on PlayStation. And I was thinking, should I play that? And then I was like, maybe I'll just start a 3 houses run for fun. And I went through and I did the exact same thing again on the church route, is just get every character and reorganize everything over and over again, because I just didn't have any games to play at the time. Man, I wish I was that free from backlog.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where all my time went in. But yeah, like I say, it's a very good game. The world building's great. It's a fun one to just go through and see what the differences are. So yeah, good time.
It is. And as for my number 6, let's take a trip back to a different time. Let's mask up, because it's early COVID and Animal Crossing just released, and we had nothing better to do with our lives, which is how I got 186 hours in it. Most of that was in like the first month, probably. Let's be real here.
Yeah. And
probably 90% of that was, waiting for people to join your island online, because bloody hell. But
absolutely.
It was a slog, but man, it was fun. It was perfect. Just all of us hanging out, messing about, trading fishes, working that turnip market, farming spiders, making like a tarantula island you could get if you're lucky, and selling those for big bells. Like, all the strats, that was basically what I spent for like the first 2 months, I'd say. I put more hours in this than I do most games in that period of time. It was all in, and although, like, I'm not someone who... This Animal Crossing really isn't my kind of game in the grand scheme of things. I made my house look presentable, and I didn't mess around with it after that. I didn't really do the terraforming of that. All the game's new content it made wasn't really stuff that would give me, like, the 500 hours that some people can spend in Animal Crossing. But it was still enough to just have a blast with it. And I went back for, like, the events for the first year. Haven't played since, like, the first year now. And I don't really plan to. But, man, what a year it was.
Yeah, I mean that was obviously a big one, very, very popular. It's not on my list of my top 10, but I think it's just barely outside. I have a similar playtime to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it was just it was a good time. You know, lots of stuff to do. I remember again similarly. I'm there was a very clear aspect of autism going on when I sorted my island out, because rather than making it really creative and fun, I basically made it into like blocks. I remember terraforming my island literally into being like blocks of 5 different islands and having it all very specifically laid out, you know, having my villagers all like in very specific places on these 10 islands so that it was all symmetrical, all of this kind of thing. I think I had like a different fruit type on each of those 5 little plots of land as well. Like I went very strategic on it. This is not a strategic game, so it just didn't look good. And I think after that point, I had a bit of reflection, and I was like, you know, I've spent like way over 100 hours in this game, but maybe it's not my specialty. You know, I'm not sure, but maybe it's not. But it was a really good time regardless, like especially the start where you're, you know, still building everything up. It's a good time.
You are far from the first person to play Animal Crossing that way, Kai. There are many like you out. So, play to win, right? Maximize efficiency of the islands.
Exactly.
But it is, it was just like not really something I'd go back to. I'd play a new one, you know, if everyone hopped on board. But it had its problems. The updates weren't really frequent enough or impressive enough, I don't think. But when it was at its peak, it was a great time.
Yeah, I think we would have spent a lot more time on it if it had better multiplayer, like both accessing the islands and then also stuff to do. We had a good time doing hide and seek. That was great. Time.
I got some good clips from that on your
trees.
Streams.
Still haunt me. Yeah.
The tree standees. I forgot about those.
oh god, yeah, that was your island.
That was.
But yeah, hey, we'll see what happens with the next one, I suppose.
Indeed. We're in top 5 now. Right, so, what's number 5?
For me, it is when I was mentioning earlier about Rocket League and like, it's one of those ongoing multiplayer games, I had to stop myself because I realised that number 5 is Splatoon 3.
Right.
And wow, I played this game in one hell of a burst. I basically played this game because of like the daily bonuses you get and the fact they had its own like sort of I want to say battle pass. It isn't battle pass, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It basically had one of those, and daily bonuses were the best way to succeed with it. So I think I played this game every day for. I think it was maybe over a year. I actually don't remember now. I think it was over a year, maybe a year and 3 months exactly. So like the first 5 seasons of it. And man, I mean, it was a really fun game, obviously. I put so much time into it. I believe I ended up with about 330 hours, although I'm not 100% confident in that. And yeah, it was just, you know, the single player on its own was fun, obviously. There was a lot to do there. But that's only a very, very small fraction of what I ended up playing. I just grinded out the multiplayer. I played loads of ranked. You know, I picked up certain weapons. My Tri-Slosher ended up being the main one because I don't know how to aim, but I'm good at getting myself in the right positions. Yeah. So I just, basically the Splatoon equivalent of a flamethrower. You know, so that was a good time. And yeah, I don't know. I really liked the strategic element of it. I do like my bits of like competitive games and speed running, you know, those sort of like, you know, when people get way more into it. I'm not a competitive player by any means, but I did actually really enjoy watching competitive Splatoon for a while, just because of the new creative stuff they came up with. So yeah, I was really invested in it for a long time, and then I got to the end of a season, and I was like, the updates are slowing down. I've been playing this for way too long. I'm gonna call it here as a hard stop, but yeah, I mean, yeah, really fun game. I just think it has a lot of replayability.
How much of that time was on table turf, Kai?
Genuinely, I I think probably at least 30. I used to play it in the evenings from like midnight to 2 a.m. when I didn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
I was trying to grind out level 50, I think it was in that. I don't know if I ever got it.
I mean, for me, Splatoon 3 didn't even crack my top 50. I think it's at somewhere like 20 hours. Yeah, I just didn't.
Damn.
Again, like I mentioned, multiplayer games, generally I don't really click with. I enjoyed the single player, and I did like how it played, it's just I struggle to do the same thing. And it was one of those I thought, back, when Splatoon 2 came out, or not when it came out, but a little afterwards, our friend Samm was streaming it, and like there were loads of multiplayer streams of that. But I didn't own Splatoon 2, and that never really happened with Splatoon 3, like a little bit, but barely. So that would have been my chance to like play it more, but sort of fizzled out for me. But I did like what I played.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I will also add, like, Side Order came out, which is like the roguelike
Oh, yeah.
sort of edition that they had. And I love roguelikes as a concept. I think they're a really good idea for games in general. I never bought this. I
No.
never picked it up. I don't know what. I think I was just, again, the backlog of everything else was already too full at that point, and I'd not been playing the game for a little while. I mean, it looks really good, to be honest. I just never picked it up. So it's like, man, if I did, this would have been even higher. So yeah, kudos to the game for having that replayability, I suppose.
Yes, and my completely different approach for my number 5 pick, because it is actually the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, and this has a little bit of a caveat to it, because this is my playthrough and a friend of mine's playthrough, who over the past like 2-3 years, whenever he came over, we'd play a bit of the game, right? I still kind of count it because I was there the entire playthrough, and it's a visual novel.
Yeah.
So,
it's a visual novel. Yeah, that's exactly it. It counts.
So I basically experienced the game twice, and I mean, at Kai, it's peak. Like, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Like, for my own playthrough, it was 95 hours. I think with both of ours, it's probably about 190 odd. It's somewhere around that, but it's just so great. It's my favourite Ace Attorney game, maybe just because it's my first partly, but it's so well written, and it's technically 2 games as well. Well, it's a collection. The characters are great, the humour's great, the mysteries are great, the setting's really good, and even like again, I experienced it the second time basically just after I finished my playthrough. My friend started his. But I wasn't tired of it at all, and it was great seeing him react to it. It was great watching you react to it on your streams. Like, I could watch this infinite times.
Yeah.
It's just that good, so I'm glad it made the top.
Yeah, it was just barely outside the top 10 for me. But even though I don't have the numbers for it handy, I've just gone online because there's a website called Twitch Tracker, which sort of tracks, all the stats for your streams there.
Yeah.
And it says on here I put in 160 hours into the game. I think part of that is because, I'd have like a half an hour break most streams to cut away from all of the dialogue.
Yeah.
But even still, like, yeah, I think this was a really fun one to do live. I still think this is one of the best games I've streamed. Just because, it's entertaining. It's fun to try and figure it all out. Really, really sort of put me to the test. So yeah, just obviously a really good time, really good story, and fun to follow along with. So yeah, no, it's good that it showed up at least. Yeah, just a really good one. Like, this is one that I recommend to people.
Absolutely, yeah. Always good to give Great Ace Attorney a mention.
Yeah.
What about your number 4 then, Kai?
My number 4. So again, as a reminder, between this one and Splatoon 3, Fortnite technically was for me.
Yeah.
Which is just a testament to Fortnite existing, but we'll skip past that. So my number 4, these are, so for reference, the top 4 again are ones that my dad has played on the console, which adds time to it.
Right.
Xenoblade 1 Definitive Edition is my number 4. So obviously I've only played through this once on the Switch, where I 100%ed it and I did the story bits on stream.
Yeah.
My dad has also played through it. He did like maybe half the side quests, I think. Like, did a fair bit, but not all of it. And has beaten the game, as well as Future Connected once each for both of us. And yeah, I mean, obviously that's going to be a lot of time. Again, I did the big reorganization thing. There's skill links in this game, which no one remembers or cares about. But I remember reorganizing those a lot, as well as all the equipment, because there's so many equipment slots and gems. Oh my god, I spent a lot of time gem crafting. There's just a lot of things to do in this game. Yeah. That and there you go. Yeah, so there's just a lot going on to organise, and then obviously, 400 plus side quests is going to do that to you. On top of just the core game being really long, as is. There was just a lot to this, and then, you add on a second playthrough to it, like that's going to be a lot of time. So yeah, it's only, number 4 is like, is that high, is that low? I don't know. The only reason it's not really more is because obviously I've played through the original a lot.
Yeah.
I 100%ed the 3DS version of the game. I played the 3DS version a lot. Probably even more than the Switch, the Definitive Edition, actually. Thinking about it, I think that's pretty cert. Yeah, way more. So yeah, it's only number 4 on here, but obviously I have played the game a lot more than it appears. But yeah, that's my number 4 pick. Obviously, it's an all-timer for me, so not too much of a surprise there.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier, mine's number 12, sitting somewhere over just 100 hours, 120 or something, which was 1 playthrough of the main game and 2 playthroughs of Future Redeemed. Connected even. Connected. There, that's...
Yeah.
Always mix up.
I almost forgot as well.
Every time I take a 50-50 shot and I pick the wrong one. But it's it's great. And again, same as you. If we counted my 3DS, I played it twice on the 3DS. Didn't 100% any of them, but still, like this would be, if we counted those, then yeah, this would be in like the 300 hours plus territory for me. It's a hefty one. But instead, my number 4 is kind of similar trend, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which reached 231 hours for me, which is impressive considering that's 1 playthrough. That's the only Xenoblade game I have got 100% on, so I did everything in both the original release and in Future Redeemed. There we go. So there's, I guess technically that it's inflated a little bit in its placement, because my friend did play the opening chapter on my Switch, but that's like 5 hours. So yeah, it's just it's Xenoblade. What more can you say than that? I think it's definitely there's a reason why it's the only Xenoblade I've 100% completed, and that's because it's the one that I think has the best gameplay systems for doing so. It's got the best quest tracking and all of that sort of element to it. The least bullshit quests in there, except the Armu farming one. It's just
polished.
Yeah, it's so polished at this point. I mean, we're not going to compare the games. Each game has their own benefits. They're all fantastic. But there's no denying that 3 has worked on the quality of life to perfection, which is why I was able to just have a blast doing everything in the game. That, for 231 hours, that I would not take back a moment of it, and I could happily just replay it right now. It's it's peak Xenoblade. It's fantastic. It's no wonder it's so high.
And that was your number 4, wasn't it?
That's my number 4. Yes.
Right. Well, that's an easy transition because Xenoblade 3 is my number 3 game.
Hey.
So, easy transition. I've got 305 hours noted on it.
Right.
And all of those, or almost all of those, I'm trying to think if I did anything off stream. I think basically all of it is on stream. Like, all of that has been recorded, and cut down versions of that are all on my YouTube, like my whole playthrough. So everything I've done with this game is live. And yeah, like, same idea as you. Is like, it's just really, really polished. This is the highest game up that I have only played once.
Same, actually.
All the others I had played multiple times. I mean, Xenoblade Definitive Edition, like, technically I'd only played once, but again, that was the other stuff. But yeah, only played it once, 305 hours, which includes Future Redeemed. 100% it both in the same way. The only thing I didn't do, same as you, was the, like, getting every gem to level 10, because that was the stupidest thing I could have done.
No chance.
That doesn't exist. But
or
yeah, no, all the side
Triton's,
quests and everything else was done.
all of the...
I didn't level all of those up, but I did get all of the what is it, the souls or whatever.
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
they do.
There's a lot there.
I didn't level them all up because it was like defeat Crimson Jim like 50 times, and I was like, what? No, I don't want to do that. Crimson
Also, like,
Jim doesn't deserve that.
I didn't really play it much outside of the launch, but the roguelike was really cool. Like, as well, that was... I wish I played that more.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't do much of that either, but that was really, really fun. Like, again, excellent idea. I did not expect it for Xenoblade ever, but it fits superbly. Man, that was phenomenal. I completely forgot that existed.
Phenomenal.
And yeah, that was a lot of hours, of course, as well. So yeah, just another banger. It's the Xenoblades. What do you expect? You knew they were going to be here.
It's true. And now I have a feeling we're going to have the same... I think I know your top two.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
That's a pretty good idea.
And I think they are two of my top three here. But I guess let's get on to it then. Number 3 from me, taking third place, is Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, that's my number 2, so it fits perfectly.
Yeah, there we go, lines up. So for me, like I've got it here as 199 hours, but that's one profile. I did do another playthrough on the second profile, which was a little quicker. It was more of a speed run to play it before Tears, and sort of around the time of Age of Calamity. It sort of piqued my interest again. So we're probably talking at like 280 hours or something like that. It's probably around that range, a little under 300. I mean, it's so good. Like, it's revolutionary, Breath of the Wild. I don't think I can say anything about this game that hasn't been said before. But, of course, Tears came and made it bigger, but it's just such a joy to explore. I didn't even do 100%. I did, at least in Breath of the Wild. I did all the shrines and I did all the side quests. I basically did everything except the Koroks. But even still, there's still things and places I don't know about in the map. If I bring up the little quest tracker thing, it will still show me places I didn't go to. It's insane how much there is. And the fact that I could do a second playthrough and still discover new things and have a blast with it. I could probably do a third playthrough, and I think ultimately I prefer it to Tears of the Kingdom, kind of. I feel like I enjoy the story a little bit more. I feel like the pacing works a little better here, but they're both fantastic, apples and oranges. But yeah, it's Breath of the Wild.
We've had a whole conversation about it.
We have. Yeah. What more can you say, Kai? What more can you say, actually?
I mean, yeah, so I played Breath of the Wild twice. Actually, I say that, wait. No, I played it a lot of times, actually. Jesus, I actually forgot. So, I played it originally on launch, of course, and I think I got all the side quests and all the shrines and all of that. So I did that. And then, right, I'm gonna potentially get some things wrong here, but I'm pretty sure my next... and obviously I played all the DLC on that original one as well.
Yes.
And then I played the game... Right, there were 2 playthroughs I did, and I can't remember which way round I did them. One of them was a Master Mode run. I'm pretty sure that came first.
Right.
So I played Master Mode, and I was like, okay, let's play Master Mode. And my challenge for myself in the game was I wanted to replicate my original playthrough, but do it in reverse, except for, the Hyrule Castle stuff. So, for example, in my original playthrough, I went to the Rito village last, so in this one, I went there first. And I was thinking, okay, it's Master Mode as well, which, adds a bit of difficulty. The problem is Breath of the Wild struggles to incentivize you to fight things. So it just meant I did a normal playthrough, but I was a bit more cowardly. And the other thing is, the game becomes very impractical when you don't go to Kakariko and Hateno village off the bat. And I learned that the hard way of, like, I couldn't do so many things in the game.
Yeah.
Like, things just felt missing because I didn't go and do those things. And I stuck to my guns and I went through, I think, pretty much the whole game, like, in Master Mode. Like, I did a very stripped down version of the game, but I just couldn't do a lot of things and it wasn't particularly fun, that Master Mode run. The number one thing in the end actually ended up being inventory slots. You can't do get more inventory slots until you're en route to Kakariko Village to see Hestu.
Right, of course.
Appear in Korok Village until you do all of that. So I had like 4 or 5 inventory slots for certain things the whole game. And I also got the champion's weapons, which I never want to use, but they used up inventory space. So there was a point in the game where I literally had 2 inventory slots for weapons I was going to use.
Oh, no.
And it was just, it was mad. But, I did make it through in the end, and that was a good time. And then my next playthrough, which I did in lockdown, was my 100% completion playthrough. Again, just straightforward. I did everything. I got all the Koroks. I did all the locations. I used a guide, obviously. I actually had a physical guide and a physical map that I used to help myself with it. So that was fun. That was my time. And then on top of those 3 playthroughs, I've also done a little bit of it. I think I've spent about maybe 15 odd hours on stream doing a challenge run on there as well. So, and then, on top of all of that, my dad's also played through the game, maybe like, he's done like, again, maybe half the game. So, just a lot going on there.
I did also have one smaller playthrough. I didn't get very far in it, probably about 10 hours, but where I played it with a friend with 1 Joy-Con each, controlling Link.
Very fun.
That was fun. Like, honestly, if there was a way if we lived close, or if there was a way we could do that online, I would suggest that for a video, because it is an interesting way to play it. But that's the thing. Like, there are so many ways you can play this game and just mix it up. That after I'd beaten it like 3 times, or no, 2 times, and plus messed around in it, I only then learnt for the first time that you could like hold Y with a spear or riding a horse, and Link would like twirl it in his hands, and that's like I played it for like over 300 hours and didn't know that. It's ridiculous how much there is to Breath of the Wild, even now.
It's true, it's kind of crazy.
And I guess
it's just a good game.
Yeah, there's a reason it's so beloved. It's one of the first. It was the first game to come out on the Switch, and the fact that it's still stuck with us all these years later, with Tears having released, it speaks to its quality. But I get the feeling for my number 2, Kai, this is probably going to be your number 1 also, I would assume.
Alright.
Kai, will you take me to Elysium?
Yeah, there you go. Yep, number 1.
Yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I mean, so for me it's number 2, and it's got it listed here as 178 hours. That's my first playthrough of the game, which I should mention I didn't even get 100%. I didn't do every Blade Crest. I've still never got Cosmos. I don't even know how I spent 178 hours on that first playthrough. I guess it includes Torna.
So you've never gotten Cosmos?
Never gotten Cosmos, no. I did one more playthrough. True, fake. I'm a fake Xenoblade fan. I think you should replace me with, I don't know, Samm or someone. Well, these have been free, never mind. But
he's even worse.
But yeah, then I did another playthrough of the game, which was a bit more of a rush through. After I did it directly after Xenoblade DE, so I sort of burnt myself out on it. But that was probably another 100 hours or so. And then my friend played it through when he was here, but I was there the entire time, and I also did like side content for him when he wasn't here, so he would be well leveled and could just do story stuff. So it was basically my playthrough as well. We're talking over 300 hours here on Xenoblade 2 for me, 320 or something. It's great. I really enjoyed Xenoblade 1 when I played it on 3DS, but Xenoblade 2 was the first game that really I was fully on board. It was the first game where I actually able to understand the gameplay. It was the first game where you had that holy shit revelations, connections, and all that stuff that made me just want to keep playing. I was introduced to all you guys in this community, and we made this podcast because of Xenoblade 2. There's a reason it's special for both of us, and there's a reason I could come back to it continuously. It's fantastic, right?
Yeah, it's just a good time, and as much as the gacha blade system has endless gripes for obvious reasons, it does have the credit of neither of the other Xenoblade games has that random element of what's your gameplay going to be like. So you've got to give it some credit there.
Makes each playthrough different. Yeah.
Exactly, and yeah, it's just a huge game again. Like, it's same as the other Xenoblades that we've already talked about. It's just huge story, huge stuff to do. Torna as well is an additional like upwards of 50 hours if you do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just a lot going on. Again, this is, like I say, my number one. I had an original playthrough where I did most things. I think I got all the blades and did the side quests, though I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure I did everything in the end. And I did get Cosmos. I had to spend about 20 hours grinding for Cosmos in my original playthrough, but I did do it. So, that was good, and then Torna came out. And then I did a 100% playthrough, I think it was in, like, 2021? I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
It was around, I think it was just before Xenoblade 3, maybe, like, between that and Definitive Edition. Or maybe it was just before Definitive Edition, something like that. And I did a 100% playthrough of the game and Torna as well. Both of those combined was around about 270 hours, 280.
Yeah.
That includes the challenge, Land of Challenge, which I had to start getting into, like, the really cheesy strats for.
Oh, I didn't even do most of that. I got Elmer and that, but and Shulk and that, but I didn't do any of the other stuff.
Yeah, I did enough in there as well. So, that was like I say, an additional 270-ish hours. And then my dad has also played through that one as well, and he ended up with a time of about 215 hours, which inflates it a bit. But even without that time, like, it would still be my number one most played game, just because, it's just so much. There's so much going on, and it explains a lot.
I think
so. It's just a strong game at number one. We've already said so much about it.
Yeah, it's fitting that it's like number one for you and number two for me. Again, considering that this is the game that introduced us to each other and made this podcast happen in the first place. So it is fitting, in that sense. And it's like it's also because it released the launch year of the console. If Xenoblade 1DE released the first year, then that. We've had more time to replay it, basically, So if we did this in 10 years' time, maybe Xenoblade 3 and that could be up there with it. But it was always going to be a Xenoblade, right? It was always going to be a competition at the top for those. But for me, there's one that's beating it. And this is one that is just well, technically, it's all me playing it. At least I was there the entire time. It's all one profile. At 493 hours, Smash Bros. Ultimate. I mean, that...
Damn.
Yeah, I didn't quite reach the 500 mark you mentioned earlier, Kai, but I'm damn close. It's gonna reach it by the end of this year. I mean,
that's mad. This
is one for me, and the reason it's so high for me is I've mentioned before there's a friend that I meet up with, the one who played, like, Ace Attorney and Xenoblade with and that. Every time he comes over, we always start off by playing like an hour of Smash. Every time. Since the game came out in, 2018 or whatever. So it's been like... Was it 2018? Yeah. Must have been, yeah, jeez. It's been
something like that.
It's been like 6-7 years. And we've meeting up a lot of times over there. Add an hour each time he comes over. That means this is an ongoing the game that until they release a new Smash is going to forever be ongoing for me. So it's just going to keep on climbing. But even if we take that aside, it had a very strong foundation. Just, I played it so much, getting, like you said, try out every character. There's so many. I beat World of Light. I got every spirit in the game. I'm up to date on all the spirits, so that's all complete. I beat every achievement in the game. Whatever they call, I think they're achievements.
Oh yeah, they were fun.
Yeah, this is the first time I've done that for a Smash Bros. Game. I never did it with the others, so that kept my time. So just a combination of all that content there is to, like, mess around with at the start, and the fact that every time a new DLC came out, I'd play it, then we'd play it on stream, and a bunch of us would play it online, then I'd play it with my friend, and I still play it today. It's the game that I just go back to all the time, and even though I never play it by myself anymore, I haven't done probably since the last DLC came out, but I'm always going to come back to it one way or another in that multiplayer aspect. It's the one game I can keep playing because there's so much content that you're playing a different character each time and it's insane. I main random nowadays, it's the most fun way to do it. But
yeah, random's the best character.
It is, true. But yeah, that's why it was able to take top spot for me by a large margin. So
Yeah, it's a mad one. But yeah, like I said, that's why it's the big one. You know, that's why Smash is the number one.
yeah, exactly. So that's it then. That's our most played games. And what do you think, Kai? Looking good, pretty good set. A lot of crossover between our lists, it seems, which makes sense.
Yeah. Man, we spend a lot of time playing video games.
Yeah, we do. Maybe we should, like, make a podcast or something where we can talk about it. That might be a good use of time with all that knowledge
Nah,
built
that
up.
wouldn't work.
Probably wouldn't be very good, actually. But it's
yeah. Oh, yeah. It's just good. There's a lot of good stuff on the Switch. I think that's what it proves. We've had a lot of big ones and even some huge ones. Things like for me, like Octopath and Triangle Strategy, Great Ace Attorney,
yeah,
Odyssey. There's so many top games that aren't even on here just because they're not the kind of games that are meant to be played for that long. Like, it just shows how strong the library is.
yeah. I've got Fire Emblem Engage, Warriors, Metroid Dread is one of my favourite games. It's just a shorter game. Celeste, Astral Chain, yeah, you know that one, Kai. But there's so many great games. I could go down to like I've got like 100 in this list, and I could go down to like 97 and be like, yeah, that's a peak game right there. It's such a strong library, and there's so much on the backlog I haven't got to play, and you're waiting to play, and the great thing is, this backlog continues to the Switch 2 because it's backwards compatible, baby. So I can't wait for it to just keep growing.
Yeah, it's true.
I guess, actually, one thing I do want to mention, my final thing here, I find it quite funny that my 13th most played thing is the Crunchyroll app. But anyway, that's...
Oh my god.
Anime didn't quite make the top 10, but it was close. But that I think that's about it, Kai. Got any final thoughts before we end off?
I think that's it. I think it was a good way to sort of just recap everything we've played on the Switch, and it's like, okay, that's this era kind of done, but oh boy, we got basically more of the same idea to come. So I'm very interested to see what they bring out.
Absolutely, and of course you can find us making videos on that here on BunchaJokahs, on YouTube and Spotify and other podcasting sites for audio-only versions. We also do direct reactions whenever that one happens. Of course, Big April Switch 2, we'll be reacting to that presentation. And Kai, where else can people find you at?
They can find me at twitch.tv/Fascurreyn. Currently playing through Project Eden's Garden Chapter 1, but I'll have some other big stuff on the way too. So yeah, it's all a good time.
Continuing the visual novel trend, twitch.tv/TheChosenOneLegend. You can find me streaming Zero Escape currently as well. And also a link to our friend Samm will be in the description below, as well as both of ours. He's the guy who makes our thumbnails and logos and still hasn't beaten Xenoblade 3. He was not worth including in this top 10 list. It would be depressing, he's top 10. But go check him out anyway. And we will see you guys in the next video. Take care and goodbye.
Goodbye.